made a start on the wiring. Got some here for the rear light. I'm going to run earth wires to everything that needs it. These ones are from the, well, that will be electronic ignition that's going in here, so that runs around there. I've actually found a piece of PVC tubing, so that'll do for that. Yeah, that's about as far as I've got so far. I had to go and get a load more wire. I've got a lot of wire, or bits of wire, but not much of it is the correct ampage. So here I've pulled out some which I can use. Yeah, so I did just find a picture online of routing, so I've got a rough idea of how to route it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna run everything to start with, and then I will get it all in some heat shrink. I've got a load of heat shrink now, just had orders for some more because I'd run out. But yeah, made a start anyway. So I've got a few more wires that ran. Obviously those two from the pickup for the ignition. So all these bunch of wires here, these 5 wires, will be for the box, the Boy Branston electronic ignition. Yeah, so they're the pickup. That'll be the feed from ignition switch, and then the black and the red there will be going to the coils. So that white one comes down to here. So my ignition switch is going to go here somewhere, not sure exactly where. And those black and red run across here and there, ready to connect to coils. And this other white one here, which will also go on the ignition switch, runs right the way along up to where the headlight will, to the headlight unit. And this other one, black and white, runs down to where I will put in an oil switch. So I've got an oil, well, I have to get an oil switch to go in there, oil pressure switch. So I just got that other white black there, which just runs up this piece of PVC tubing up to there, ready for headlight. So that's kind of ignition wires run. So I think I'll have a look at the lighting wires now. So I've run a brown. That should actually be brown white, but I haven't got any brown white, so it will have to be brown. So that one is forgotten now. Something to do with lights. Running up here, up towards the headlight. I think that's just the lights feed for the on-off switch. That's what that one's for. I've got it all on a diagram. So, and I've also got a grey one here, which should be brown white, I think. So that'll be for horn. That will have to go up on the handlebars, which I haven't got the bars on yet, so I'll just left a big coil. Yeah, so that just goes back to here to pick up a feed. And I've got a large, I think that's a 17 amp red, which is also going up to the headlight, so that'll be my earth. That'll be my earth return from the headlight. And I've got one on the engine mounting there, another 17 amp, so that'll be battery connection along with that one. Although I'll probably have to, I may have to have a mounting up here front here somewhere for that. rather than having two go on the battery. And what else have I done? Oh, a green. I've run a green right from, which will be from the headlight, so this will pick up the headlight on, so this will be coming from the on switch in the headlight. So that goes all the way back to, and that will connect through to the tail light. And obviously the other one, stop light, will need a switch in somewhere around here. Yeah, so we've got one or two in there. I think I might be nearly ready to get some heat shrink around that main sort of loom. I don't think there's anything else got to go in there. I will just check, but I think that'll probably be it for that. And I've also got to obviously wire in the from the alternator there up, though I haven't got the Reg Rect yet, so but that'll be going somewhere around this area, so I could pre-run the wires for that. Yeah, but I think if I get all these bunched up, I think that bit can be heat shrunk. I'll probably go from somewhere around there, so that'll go up into there as well, the coil ones. So I'll have a heat shrink going from there back to here, and then I'll have another little bit where these ones come out going up to the headlight. And actually I probably could run that grey into the headlight and do a connection in there for the horn switch, because there's got to be one go up to the head, up to the handlebars for the on-off for the main dip, which will be on the same switch as the horn, so that could probably go in the headlight and then out again on a separate cable. Might be the easiest way to do that, so they could all stay together then, that bunch. Yeah, getting there. I think it makes sense. And the colour codes aren't exactly right, but you know, sometimes you just got to go with what you got, haven't you? I've got so many wires which are not the right colours, but might as well use them up. Right, that's a bit of heat shrink on there, all down to there. That piece there, which is for the electronic ignition box, that can have a smaller piece on. Ones that go down to the or for the ignition switch and everything, I'll leave all them for now loose until I can work out what's going where. I can probably put a piece on this end. I think I might just try and guess where my headlight is going to end up, so I can get a length of heat shrink on there, so that'll tidy all that up. Yeah, I think I might get the coils fitted. I've got the brackets and everything and the clamps, so I think I might get them in place and that wired up. Alright, so that's all the wires heat shrunk for the ignition module. I'll say I can't really do much with them at the moment. This end, so I've taken the wires up which will be going to the headlight. I've heat shrunk those, so they're all up to the headlight. These, there's a grey and a grey white, although you probably can't tell the difference, but one has got a bit of white on it. So they are for the horn. One is from the power, one is be going up to the switch. So this is the grey white, which will be the switch, so that can just be practically looped out again, then back up to the handlebars. Yeah, so we've got the green, which will feed the rear lights. The brown will be the going up to the light switch, the on switch, and then we've got the positive earth wire going right way back to here, and these are the these will be for the oil lamp, one from the switch. So I need an ignition switch, I need the rect battery, obviously, brake light switch, I've got the headlight, dip and horn switch to go on the handlebars, and that'll be, oh, and the tail light. I haven't got the tail light yet, and I do need to get a bit more of the thin heat shrink. I didn't get enough of the thin stuff, got loads of the stuff that's too big really, not enough of the thin stuff. Yeah, so some of the thinnest, some of this one, which I think was 9.5, I think that's what it was. Yeah, not, and a little bit for a really thin stuff for this to go for the horn. Yeah, that is pretty straightforward really. The wiring on here, not too complicated at all. Did just have to take these brackets off again. I found I couldn't get the bolt in for these clamps, coil clamps. Couldn't get the bolt in from the back once they're fitted. So I want the bolt on the back, nut on the front. So just have to take them off again and do that. So that's ready now to take the coil. Same around the other side. That's on. So I can get the coils in now. Okay, that's the other coil on. Always a good idea just to check the multimeter that you haven't over tightened this clamp, crushed inside the coil. Just make sure that you haven't got any, just check with the multimeter that you haven't got any thing going to ground. Because it will wreck your electronic ignition if you've got a short on there. That's looking good. I have already checked the other one. So they're now ready to wire up. These coils, particular coils, have got the Bosch markings on, so you've got a positive and a negative, although I have just marked that one. You've got a 1 and a 15, and 15 will be your positive. So I can now connect up my wires for those. So this is the Boyer Branston wiring diagram. So what we've got here, this is the red and the black, which come from the, I'll go back here, which will pick up the module, the ignition module. So we've got the red comes through onto the positive on that side. We've also got another one which goes back to ground for a positive earth, and then we've got a black link wire which goes from negative through to positive on the other coil, and then the negative of the negative on the other coil running back to the box. So they're two 6-volt coils in series, which is what we need for the Boyer Branston. So that little bit is all wired in. I just now got to work out where I need to put the box, but I think I might wait until I get the regulator rectifier. Probably going to go under here somewhere. I might just make a little plate to go on. Could bolt it on here or on here. I think that's where the original rectifier fits on there, actually. I think that's what that mounting is for. Yeah, so that's ignition coils wired in. Right, I'm just extending these alternator wires. I'm just using the little brass connectors and these connector things. I'm using yellow to extend because that is the colour that the new Reg-Rect will be for the input, so it'll all kind of make sense. So they can all be pushed together and tucked up under there somewhere, which will I'll neaten them up, and I've got plenty here to run up to wherever my box is going to go. Yeah, so that will just finish that little bit off under there. And they're going to fit the electronic ignition rotor and stator. So I've got this on compression stroke, and fortunately on this bike I do have a marker, so I've got that lined up on the fully advanced mark. It has got the access point there for the pin to go in, the TDC pin. Now this crank on this bike only has the single mark, which is top dead center, so as I've got that mark on the rotor, I'll use that. And I've got later casing on here which has got the pointer on it, but if you've got 68 or later, chances are you'll have a TDC slot and a 38-degree slot in the crank, so you could use that with a locking pin. But as of not, like I said, I'm using this, so that's all lined up. And got this Boyer Branston. It's actually not a second-hand one, but it's one somebody bought and didn't use, so I got it for a reasonable price. So what there is now is this little rotor that goes in there where your auto advance would normally go. Just want to sit that in there loosely, and there's a bolt. In fact, there's two bolts that come with the kit. Just need to work out which one is the correct one for yours, and I've also had to shorten that by about 5mm. So I'll just loosely put that in there because I still need to be able to rotate this on its taper. So that's still that can still be moved. Right, so this stator plate now needs to go on. So there's two slots on there, one is clockwise timing, one is anti-clockwise, so I need to use the clockwise on here, as it's Triumph, so try to do this at one end. So what I need to do now is roughly get this, which mark are we? Clockwise, that's that bottom one there, that lower mark. So with that roughly in the position it needs to be in, so that'll sit something like that there. So I need to now get one of these white marks. So those slots are sitting roughly midway position with a little hole, the bolt holes there. That's midway position, and that, don't drop it, and that really got to set this up on the tripod, don't I? And that timing mark or timing hole on there that needs to be around there a little bit, needs to be somewhere around there, a bit more. Yeah, so that is roughly where that needs to be. So now I just need to nip that up without it moving, so it locks down on the taper, and then I can fit this bit. Right, so I'll just line that up, tighten that up, so the little white mark on the rotor, on the magnet, is in that lower hole, right in the middle. So I'll tighten that up there, connect those to there, and that will be statically timed. I have got a cover to go on here, but I haven't got a gasket as yet, so I'll probably just put the cover on just to protect that a little bit, and then I'll just find a place to mount the control box. Horn is fitted. It is just one of those cheap modern ones, as opposed to the classic ones. The good thing about these is the very low amp, so you can get away with just running thin wires. Just makes your wiring a little bit neater. Right, so that's that on. The only thing I might change is I might just get some cloth tape to wrap this in. This heat shrink I've got here is the stuff which has got sort of glue in it, and it's very, very stiff. There's not a lot of flex in it. It's okay for along here, doesn't really matter. But like for where this comes up into the headlight, that's obviously going to be moving around quite a bit, so I might just cut that off and replace that with some cloth tape. But apart from that, still got to fit the box, so I thought I would make a little plate up here to fit the control box, ignition control box, and the Reg Rect onto. So I've got some aluminium plate, and we just cut a piece that will fit in there, and then I can mount those to that. But yeah, it's coming along. Just now received the Regulator Rectifier, so I think I will probably mount that. This is my piece of plate which I cut, so it's just bolted on there and there. I have for now just put a on-off switch for the ignition, and I'll mount the ignition box over there, I think, and the Regulator Rectifier over this side at some sort of way around, I'm not sure which. Could even put it on at an angle like that, would be okay, I think. Yeah, so just got to drill a couple of holes to mount that, attach that with some double-sided tape probably, or I could drill a couple of holes and put a cable tie around. Yeah, either way, that's going to go over there, that's going to go somewhere over here. I can then connect the rest of everything up. Set the brake light switch, and I'll just run the wires for that for now. I'm not entirely sure what type or where that is going to go, because I'm not fitting the standard chain guard to this bike. I have got one which would have the switch mounted there straight to the chain guard. I have a oil and frame one because I need the extra height at the back here due to the fact that I've got conical hubs and I've got this fitted on that way round, so I need the extra height of the oil and frame chain guard for that end, although I have had to modify this end to fit here, to fit in there nicely. So I've just got the one fixing hole at the rear there, as on the other one. I might just put a bit of extra bit of metal on there, or even a nut, so I can just bolt that straight on. I'll probably also need to cut a hole here so I can have access to that fixing. Yeah, so that yeah, it's got to determine that I can't have the normal switch, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that is the trouble when you're sort of mixing and matching parts. You have to kind of do a lot of workarounds. Bit more progress. Got the ignition module fitted there. That has got a cable tie around it, but that is actually sitting on some double-sided sticky pads to give that a bit of isolation. And the wires go for a little grommet there, and got that bolted down, the Reg Rect. Put a bit of heat shrink around the leads from there, connected these ones to the wires up from the alternator, these yellow ones. Red one here will go up with the battery connection. So that'll be the positive connection, and negative side from the Reg Rect is teed in these ones here, which has got the inline fuse, the negative side of the battery. So I've got there. I've got the I've actually got the battery tray. It's actually got that out at the moment, so I could get to get underneath here and get at everything. Right, so we've got the, so that's that lot. So these other wires here are the connections for the ignition module. It's got the to the coils, the red and black there to the coils. These go to the stator, the black, yellow and black, white, and the white one goes through this 5 amp fuse through to pick up on the switch side of the ignition. So all of this lot here need to go to the switch side of the ignition. So we've got the white which goes to the ignition module, we've got the other white which goes to the oil pressure switch, or will do once I've got that. The brown goes up to lighting, to the on off switch for the lighting. The black will be, it's just coil here at the moment, that'll be for one side of the brake light switch, rear brake light switch. So that's that. This grey one goes to the horn, yeah, to the horn. So that can either go on switch side of the ignition switch or could just go on the feed side. I think normally they are just connected sort of direct, so they're always working, but yeah, I'll probably put that on with that lot to stop little boys pressing buttons and making the horn go. So that's that lot. Where are we? This blue one which comes from this T junction here, which will be negative side of the battery, so that will feed the ignition switch. Yes, so it'll be on feed side. So that'll either be connected up with this grey, or if the grey goes in that side, that will just be on its own on the feed. What else we've got? Green coming from the front, from that way. That has got to be connected through to the green brown of the rear light, or for the rear light. So I've got that in a bit of heat shrink tube now. And the black brown will be the other side of the brake light switch. And the red has just got to go to a I'll probably just tee that in with, I'll put a multi-block on here and I'll just tee that in with that, I think. Probably the easiest thing. Yeah, so apart from the front end and the rear light, everything in the middle is done, apart from battery. I haven't got a battery yet, and I've just got to pop the fuse in there as well. So yeah, that is all coming along. I've just got to tidy all these up. They will just need clipping somewhere. I think there's a hole in this mudguard somewhere I can get a just get a little clamp or something on, little P-clip, rubber P-clip or something, just to tidy that up. So I've just received the oil pressure switch, which I'm going to fit there in place of that blanking bolt. However, that is a 26 TPI thread in there. This is a 27 TPI thread. So what I need to do is just run this die over there just to slightly change that thread, so it will actually fit in there. The reason why it shouldn't work has been done before, to get over this problem. So yeah, that's what I'll now do. I'll just take that seal off there before I do that. Yeah, because if you were to try and put this as it is in there, it would just crack this aluminium, which would be no good. We don't want that. Yeah, so I'll just get on and do that. So I've just run the die over that, and just as a sanity check, got a 3/8 CI nut. You can see that goes on there very easily, so we shouldn't have any problems. So I'll now fit that to the bike. So that's that in place. The only thing I have done, rather than the O-ring as it came with, I've just fitted a fibre washer. I might actually get a doty washer to go on there, which would actually be better than anything really. So the only thing left to do now is put a connection on there. And I think there is also a rubber boot you can get to go over there, so I need to get one of those. But yeah, get that on there first. So then once I get the electrics connected, I'll be able to test that.